I realized I put everyone into the studio in the wrong order. And I remembered that David would have thrown a fit. No, David would have been like, why am I on the top?
Not me.
So I fixed it. But
you probably saw the confusion in my face.
Oh, I absolutely did. And I knew what the confusion was about. And the audience would have had no clue unless I just said something about it. But it's okay. I like breaking the fourth wall moments. So. Yeah. Anyway, hello, and hi there, castaways, and welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay, and because I have a lot to do this evening, I am still drinking coffee. But I'm doing it in my beautiful lion mug from the San Diego Zoo and Safari Park, which was gorgeous. It was the only thing I bought in our speed run of the San Diego Zoo that happened in 3 hours.
Lion mug.
Lion, it's very full. I'm not even gonna touch it today, but it's very gay, and that's why I bought it.
I love it.
Like, it's very gay. I wish it was the Pride Progress flag colors, but I'll take rainbow flag colors. That's fine with me.
Wonderful. What's up, y'all? I am Lana, your resident evil diva. I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. I am currently just drinking water. Hydration is important, and I didn't feel like going to get anything else to drink, and the water was here. So that's what I'm going to drink today. But if I was drinking anything else, y'all know I'll keep drinking it out of mine. Not so lion mug, but a cup mug.
There's a reason I'm using this today because it is much larger.
But you can get your cup mug at LanaG'sCreations.etsy.com, along with any of our other cup merch. And we do ship internationally and domestically in the U.S., so they are now uses. And I'm looking at you, UK, and Dominican Republic because that's where y'all are filming. So I'm looking at all of you. Get your cup merch. Period. Thank you.
Well, I'm David Healy, the Survivor superfan, and I haven't joined yet for this. But when I join for Survivor Podcast, I do like to show a different autograph from a different Survivor that I've met. I've met over 200, so there's a lot. But I figured since we're doing an international season, why not show an international Survivor that I've met and got their autograph? And this one was actually a few days ago. In Orlando, I met the one and only, one of my absolute favorite survivors. Hot take on this podcast, I'm sure. But it is George, King George from Survivor Australia. This is the cover of his new book, but he signed it and he messaged me back. But yes, I love me some George. And I was just in his homeland in Australia. But I am drinking some water.
Wonderful.
I was going to say that is a very hot take here at the Cup. As you know, me and Lana, we're not that big a fan of the King George
Gotta
experience.
Respect him though, right?
Oh, there's respect there. I can respect him and not like him.
I mean, but if you want to know how we really feel, check out our Survivor Australia coverage right here on the Cup TV. Period.
I was there once.
I'll put it up right there, right about now.
Ding.
Mm-hmm.
But we are here. It is the penultimate week.
It is.
It is. It's the penultimate week. It's almost over. The Survivor UK gods were coming for me and froze my computer as I started talking about it being the penultimate week of Survivor.
It was revenge for what you just said about George.
Well,
different franchise. Okay.
They should have got me too, because BB.
This is the ghost of Tanuki.
You're next.
Because she's pissed about being voted out. That's what it is.
Period. But first, before we jump into this, why don't you subscribe to the channel? You're here. You're seeing us. You like us. I know you do. Hit that subscribe button and hit all the buttons that say you support us. And we appreciate your support. If you are a fan of all things drag, go support us at the Cup Pod, our main channel. Go over there, hit that subscribe button and all the things. And if you're a fan of Eurovision Song Contest, go over to our other channel at the Cup ESC and subscribe over there. We got all the things you want for you. And we put out content almost every single day about every single thing we cover. So check us out. You know you want to.
All of that. A lot of Eurovision is happening, and it's December. And I'm like, why is all the Eurovision happening now? I need it to slow down. Anyway, David, my dearest, darling David Healy, since you have not been here for 6 weeks of Survivor UK, I think it is time.
It's only
This is your moment! Have it!
So I thought the season started off really slow, and it was like, are they going to play it cautious and just have pagongings and all of that? Play really straightforward, only vote out the women, and we got that a little bit. But I think things have really picked up. Like each week, it seems to be getting a little bit better for me. The gameplay is getting more dynamic. I really like most of the people in the cast, especially the ones left. I think almost everybody who's gone far has been a favorite of mine, except maybe Peg Leg. He's okay. But yeah, I thought for sure the winner, like almost the whole season, I'm like, okay, Doug or Tanuke, one of them's winning. And then we lost both of them in the same week, and that kind of blew my mind. Also, I do want to talk about Lee. I think he's kind of a douche, but I don't think he's a bad person. I really connected when he talked about losing his mom and his brother, and also he's so hot as a juror, so I'm glad he's there. But what else? Christopher, I think he's been very fascinating, and that's it. We'll talk about Christopher more.
We sure will. But yes, so we are here. We're talking about episodes 13 and 14. Episode 13 being one of the dumbest episodes of Survivor I've watched in a really long time. Like, I can't think of an episode that compares to this episode.
No, because nobody has done anything like this ever. I've never seen such boneheaded moves and things that happened in this episode that I've ever seen. I've never seen it in any Survivor that I've ever watched. I mean, we've seen some things. We've seen some bad moves. We've seen some things to play out where it's like, oh, what'd you do that for? This was like, I've never seen it. I just never seen anything like this before in my entire life. Keystone Cops. I promise you.
David, as the resident Survivor historian, can you think of a moment that compares to the buffoonery we saw in this episode?
There are things that are more game ending than what we saw for this mistake. But like, as far as just like a major oversight, I think it really goes to show like how you can just really start forgetting about things that you would think about if you were getting nourished as much as you should be. Yeah. So I do love Matthew. But yeah, it was pretty dumb. it was iconically dumb. I'll say that.
Yes. He will never want to cage anything else in his entire life. I promise you that. But yeah, let's.
So we start the episode. Tanuki was just voted out. We're all still in mourning.
I'm very sad about that. I'm very sad about
being voted out. We see Nathan and Leilani talking about, who was the other vote? Who could it have been? And they very quickly realized that it was Maddie that voted out Tanuki. And they're like, we can never trust him again. He made a move. He's playing the game. And we can never trust him again. And I'm just like, oh, God. I watched this, and this was the first scene I saw of these 2 episodes, and I said, "Oh God, this is gonna be a rough couple of episodes."
Mm-hmm. But I was actually hopeful because it seemed like Nathan. He said we can't let him know that we feel this way. So I'm like, Nathan, you got your head in the game.
Yes.
Did he have it in the game the whole week?
No.
But I was hopeful for a second. And also, I kind of felt bad for Leilani because in a confessional, he's like, well, now I can't trust anybody in this game at all. I'm like, what about Leilani? What did she do?
I mean, here's the thing.
Not play the game. The
No.
reason he can't trust her in the game is because she's not playing the game, David.
Fair.
I mean,
She's playing best friends race on an island in the Dominican Republic that is feigning as Survivor.
Mm.
I just don't think he ever really did trust Leilani. Leilani
Mhm.
was never part of the plan to make it to the end, which we've heard. And so it was never in his plan. And oh my God forbid he has a plan to make it to the end with certain people. God forbid he'd been thinking about the end, because my goodness, that's treason. You need to go. You start
Openly
thinking
say
about
that to everybody in the middle of tribal council.
Mhm.
Ah!
Honestly, I don't think that was the worst thing he did this week. Like, that was
No, it's not. But
But honestly, at that point, they're at 6. And Tanuki's gone. He could easily say, yes, my final getting to the end was with Tanuki. It's no longer happening because she's no longer here. So therefore, what I planned is not the plan anymore. I have to adjust, which is what he's saying. But God forbid anybody has a final 3 planned out this early in the game when there's 6 people left. Of
Right.
course you're thinking about the final end. Of course you're thinking about who you
Not
sit
these
next
people.
to. No, because once you start actually saying you playing the game, you can't be trusted and you gotta go. Because who plays the game of Survivor in Survivor? You're not supposed to play. You're just supposed to be my friend.
Fair.
Or not say you playing.
We'll talk about tribal because I had another moment of just like complete and utter frustration when it came to tribal council. But we got to talk about the lobster trap because the lobster trap shows up.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say one more thing
Oh, yeah.
On this subject before we move on. There was another thing that I really was impressed with Nathan here. Early on, we saw last week that Lawrence had the brilliant idea to not vote with either side, and maybe he thought he would keep his hands clean. But Nathan clocked that right away.
Right away.
Yes.
Right away.
So I think there's so much potential in Nathan. This has been a fascinating season because it's like I don't think I can think of a cast besides season 1 of US Survivor that has known the least about Survivor. And you're slowly seeing as some people are really starting to connect the pieces. They're just not getting all of the pieces. I think probably Christopher has put them together the quickest of anybody, followed by probably Matthew. But it has been very fascinating to watch. And I think Nathan is somebody who could kill it on a returning season.
I can see that too.
If he decides to play the game,
he will.
That'd be
I
nice.
think a returning season, he will play the game way better than he did this season because I don't think he knew how to play Survivor. He was learning as he went. And he just didn't pick it up as well as some people.
Yeah.
But I think if he had a chance to come back, because yes, when he clocked what Lawrence has done, he clocked that Maddie had was the vote. He clocked that we can't let Maddie know that we don't trust him anymore. He definitely knew. He's like, my back is against the wall now. It's me. I know it. I have to go do stuff. He knows now, and I believe he knows now where his mistakes were. And so I feel like if he comes back, he will be a much better player, and he will prepare for this game way better than he probably did coming in this season.
I agree with that. But okay, now we can talk about the lobster trap because the lobster trap shows up and it's a clue, and inside is what we find out to be a hidden immunity idol. And this just gave me birdcage flashbacks. I was like, God, not the birdcage again.
Yes.
Hated it. But everyone decides to go out and try to find the key to this lobster trap. Except
Pegleg. And Leilani even. Like, she didn't do anything either. I'm like...
Lana, I have to remind you, Leilani is playing best friends race on an island in the Dominican Republic. Of course she's not going to go find the key.
Leilani's like, oh my God, I just woke up and I missed stuff in the game already? What?
I love that in confessional, though, she was like, Hannah woke me up and was like, there's a lobster trap! And there's a clue, and it's probably an idol. And she's like, what? I'm like, that's kind of reminiscent of Leilani's game the entire season, let's be honest. Is she entertaining? Yes. Would she be the single most underwhelming winner of Survivor ever? Yes.
And I can see it happening.
And I also can see it happening. And that's where I'm frustrated, but we'll talk about it. So everybody goes out, and they're trying to find the key. And ultimately,
oh my God,
it is Chris and Maddie that find the key. But Maddie went to go look and finds out that there is an idol in the lobster trap.
But they don't want to take it right now because they have the key. And Chris will look too suspicious if Chris goes over there. So Maddie will go and go look, open it up, put the stuff back because they don't want anybody to know that they got it. So they put the stuff back and he go lock the cage up and come on back. He put the lock he put the lock on the cage.
He sure did.
For sure, he did. He locked that cage.
The padlock.
The padlock
It is locked.
It is locked tight. Can't nobody open it, but they don't have a key. Now the latch, on the other hand, not locked. He didn't latch the cage back up. He just put the padlock back on where he had it from. Didn't latch it. So the cage is wide open with a lock padlock on it. And he walks away.
Sweet Matthew.
Sweetheart, 21-year-old Matthew apparently has never learned to latch a lock back. He just knows how to close the padlock. And he closed the padlock and walked away. And he left. And he's like, it's an idol. It's an idol in there. We go back at night and we go get it, snatch it up. Nobody know we have it. That's what's done. Period.
What happened to that plan?
That was the plan. And that was what they were going to do. But I guess they decided to sleep that night, or unless the immunity challenge was the same day. I don't know.
I think it might.
I think it was. I think the immunity was the same day. So they would so they went to the immunity challenge because he locked the cage back up and nobody had the key but them. So they was just go and go on about their lottie good day. And they went to the immunity challenge. And there it was. There we go. We're at the immunity challenge.
Well, I do have two things to say about this before we get too far.
Please do, because I don't have a damn thing to say that's nice.
So I'm going to give Matthew the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's a Gen Z thing. Maybe Gen Z has not had a lot of experience with locks. Maybe this was the equivalent of a rotary phone for him, and he wouldn't have known.
David Healy.
Look, you never know.
David.
He probably has never put a key in a lock like that. He's like, we lock our phones differently.
As someone who is technically Gen Z, I am very offended by the statement you just made.
Well, you shouldn't be because you're not really technically. You're the old Gen Z.
Yeah.
You're like technically on the cusp of Gen Z and something else.
Yeah,
but like,
no, you don't. Young Gen. I'll put it like this: if my Gen Z nephew probably wouldn't know how to put a lock like that. Well, they know how to do that or a locker. Because
I was about to say
that's different because you don't have like
the latch.
Yeah,
part.
you don't have a latch that goes in and out. So,
but my thing is this though. Here's where I'm going to counteract your niceness to Matthew, because when he unlocked that key, he had to move the latch.
Mm-hmm.
So when he locked it back, he didn't think he had to put the latch back. Like you had to move it first. But I will take the starving aspect of it. The lack of sleep, the nutrition, your brain probably might not be functioning. And you could have thought, because like we have all done this, dang, I thought I locked this door, or I thought I turned this off when I left. And you realize, dang, I didn't turn it off. He might have thought he did latch it back. In his brain, he latched it, put the lock on it, clicked it closed. In his brain working at what, 50% capacity, 37% capacity, because they ain't ate in days and sleep deprived and sleeping outside with bugs biting them. So his brain maybe not being on full capacity. He probably thought he locked it. Look, I forgot stuff, and I've eaten all day and still forgot. Just today, I forgot I put laundry in the dryer 2 days ago, and it's been sitting there for 2 days.
Oh no!
No, today you remembered.
No, my roommate was like, my roommate was like, could you come get your stuff out of the dryer so I can finish washing my clothes? And I was like, is it stuff still in there? Yep, my towels have been in there for 2 days.
Good.
But here's my other thing. So I actually thought they had a pretty good idea here, like to go check, see what it is, put it back, and not draw suspicion that it's been taken. But why not just switch it out with a rock? Why not take out the idol, put a rock in the bag, put it back in? That would have solved this whole problem. And then, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, Nathan would have found a rock, and he probably would have thought it was something he could use. I don't know, but
it would have been the second generation of this isn't an idol, it's a fucking stick.
It's a stick. It's a stick.
This isn't an idol, it's a fucking rock.
Play this rock.
Oh my god, could you imagine? Oh my god, could you imagine if he just played the rock to still only get no votes? We'll talk about it.
I mean, but that wouldn't have happened because they would have known that they got the idol.
True.
And he got the rock. So he would have got votes.
But here's where you big brain the whole thing, and I know they're not big braining anything because none of them have ever watched the show. What you do is you take the idol, you leave the note with the rock in the bag. Nathan's not gonna know otherwise. He's like, oh my god, I found a hidden immunity idol. It's a rock. Why? I'm not sure, but I have an idol. That's where you big brain it.
I mean, yes, absolutely. I'm just glad that didn't happen because I don't want to see Nathan playing himself by playing a rock and they looking at him like you're stupid. You're playing a rock. I don't need that.
I agree with you.
I don't need that to go on Nathan's resume that he played a rock. No.
But yes. So we go to the immunity challenge. It is a classic high step in, build the domino train to the end. This one was a little bit different though, and I liked this like little change. And David, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever seen something like this where it starts out with 2 segments to step through, and then halfway through it switches to 3 segments. So the individual segments get smaller.
I can't think of a time I've seen that.
I was like, I like that actually. It adds a little bit more because as soon as your brain is getting into the muscle memory of, okay, lifting, now I have to shift and do that. And we saw that take a couple of people out in the middle of the challenge. But I was like, that's a nice new change to it. I support that. But I mean, not much happens in this challenge.
I just remember Matthew got super close.
Oh my God.
I think had 1 left.
Yeah.
And then
he was just like, no.
I would have just sat down. I wouldn't even try it anymore. I was like, I'm done. I can't get all the way to the end.
Get me out of this stupid cage. I'm done.
It's like, I get to my last one, and then on my way back, I kick it, and you could just buy me for a quarter and get change back. I'm over it. I'm like, now, and then I'm looking over, seeing that Christopher and Nathan are almost at the end, and Hannah.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like this challenge was built for Hannah. as a footballer, I was like, oh, Hannah's going to do really well. And she did do very well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the power of that Speedo, man, I guess. I don't know what it was. The power of the Speedo compelled him, and Chris wins his first individual immunity. And I was thrilled for him because I like Chris.
Me too. I think he's been like probably the biggest catalyst for conflict and drama and gameplay this season. So just the fact that he's been on everybody's hit list for a while, I think it's so important that we see him stay around. So I was very thrilled that he won this immunity.
Yeah. If he gets to the end, he's winning, and he deserves it.
I don't think so. I have a bit of trepidation about that, Lana.
I mean, I understand bitter juries, and I'll say this. If he gets to the end, he should win.
I agree with that statement. Because absolutely.
He should win because, like you said, David, he is the catalyst for a lot of the drama and the tension and the gameplay. And he survived after survive after survive. And then he just wins his immunity. And I feel like he is the only one now left who has been factually playing the game. But I think people are going in this jury are going to only pick because they like somebody or who they don't like. I think you'll have a Doug who votes for who played the best game. You'll have possibly a Tanuki pick somebody who played the best game.
She said she was rooting for him to win after she got blindsided.
And I think if
because you respect the person who played the game, and if you played to the point because you just turned around what I did to Doug and put it on me, absolutely, I'm voting for you. You got me, and I will respect that. I feel like that Tanuki and Doug will play that way. They will vote that way. Everybody else is going to vote for who they like the most. Who's my friend, and it's. But I still think Chris has a chance.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I do think if it's Chris against anybody, I think he has 3 votes locked in already.
Absolutely.
Because I think he gets Doug, Tanuki, and Ashley.
And the thing is, I think Nathan might.
Maybe.
He could go the way Tanuki wants him to.
I am hopeful that Ashley and Tanuki are putting in some work in that jury for Chris.
I feel like Chris is the only one who... Yeah, I think Chris is the only one who is actually playing this game and sitting next to anybody left in this game thus far. It's like
I think Matthew would vote for him.
I was gonna say I think Maddie is the only other person that we've seen really play the game.
But all because of Chris.
I agree. I agree with you. I agree with you. But
here's the thing: Chris, I think, is a better talker, and Chris will speak way better than Matthew ever could. And I think the only person who maybe could give a good speech better than Chris is gonna be Peg.
Pegleg, yeah.
And because Pegleg will get people on his side for heartstring moments, and the fact that Pegleg is a competitor and has won things.
Yeah.
So it's not like Pegleg is just going in there like, oh, I just rode on everybody's coattails and did. No, I won competitions and I did things and I made moves and I went to places like I went to the other camp and stayed and survived and made it back to merge.
And he contributed a lot to the tribal portion of the game. And it seems like a lot of people are probably going to think along the lines of what did they do during the tribal portion as well as what did they do during the individual portion. But I think this jury is just going to be up in the air.
Yeah, it's really hard to predict. I actually had this conversation with George a few days ago because he's covering Survivor UK. So I asked him, like, who do you think is going to win? And he said, I think it's going to be someone really random like Hannah. And I was like, really? Because I've never thought of Hannah as a potential winner. I like Hannah a lot, so I don't know how I would feel about that.
It feels a little like, and I really like what we've seen of Hannah too. Gameplay wise, I don't think she's the strongest, strategic player.
She's growing though.
She's growing. I think she's a solid competitor. She hasn't won anything yet, but I think she's a solid competitor. I could see her making a case of like, I didn't have to get blood on my hands. I didn't have to win. in order to make it far. I made the moves that I needed to at the times I needed to do them. And I think the biggest person that was standing in Hannah's way of proceeding further in this game was Tanuki, and she was part of getting Tanuki out of the game. It's like she made the moves when she needed to, and otherwise she's going to let everybody else do whatever they need to do. And I think honestly that same thing is true with Leilani. I just don't think Leilani has enough cognizance of her own game to sell her game in that way, and I do think Hannah does.
The only thing that scares me about Hannah is, and we saw it in this next episode, she just has a problem with actually owning what she does and actually expressing her. Like she likes to play this humility. You need to be humble. You need to be, humble.
Yeah.
And at the end of Survivor, you can't be humble. You can't be like, oh, I did what I. No, you have to own everything, and you have to speak with so much conviction and confidence that you sway this jury to believe, yes, I didn't win these things, and I didn't do it on purpose. Like everything I did was strategic. I didn't have to win competitions because I had people who were surrounding me who were going to do it for me and keep me safe. No, I made the moves. Yes, I was one of those people like, let's get out Tanuki, and we did it. I turned around and got rid of, did they blindside me with Doug? Yes. But then what did I do? I switched it and changed it and changed my course. She woke up in that moment, and she needs to own that. She needs to be like, I didn't play this game halfway through because I didn't realize how intense this was going to be. But when I woke up, baby, I woke up. My eyes was wide open, and I played the rest of this game out until, in the way, like strategically making these moves. She just has to be more convincing, and she has to believe in herself. And I don't think right now she believes that. She's just like, I'm just here for the ride right now, and I need everybody to be humble and be have humility about yourself. And that ain't gonna win you Survivor. Right. It's not.
I think it'll be really interesting to see how the jury votes, because with season 1 of US Survivor, we had Richard Hatch, who played a really strategic game, was focused on alliances, and we had Kelly, who was trying to be nice, get along with people, make friends, and avoid the strategy part as much as possible. Yeah. And that jury, by one vote, awarded the strategy, and that kind of sets the precedent on how Survivor is to be played. And we saw it beginning the very next season. It was about strategy, and that's how it had been awarded consistently,
and that's why Tina won,
right?
She had a great balance of friendship and social game, and still having that strategic aspect when she absolutely needed to.
Exactly. And so this is not the first season of Survivor UK, but the other 2 seasons, they were nearly 20 years ago. So it's almost like this could set a new precedent for how UK plays Survivor. So I'm very worried. I want strategy to be awarded no matter who is in the end. I just hope whoever does win, they win because they are able to articulate what they did to get themselves to the end and get those votes.
And I think everyone has a strategic argument that could be made at this point, with the exception of Leilani. I don't see Leilani really having any sort of strategic game other than being included in votes because she was a vote that was eligible to have a vote. Like, she is a person in this game who has a vote.
Right. Like, she's played a good social game, I think. She's been
incredibly entertaining and a great social game. And I agree with you. And that's why I think maybe Leilani might win. But I've been making this point all season because I watch a lot of British reality TV. And this season has felt so similar to a lot of the other British reality TV I've seen, kind of with the exception of The Traitors. The Traitors has been like the one outlier where like people actually play a decently strategic game for the most part because that game is so inherently strategic. But like I look at this through the same lens of like, I'm a celebrity, Big Brother, like where in those games, being a quote unquote game player is not a good thing. And we look at this game from a US competitive or social strategic lens, at least those of us that like watch all of these things, which we do. And I look at it, and I know you probably do too, David, as like, I want strategy to reign supreme 9 times out of 10, at least.
Yep.
And that's just not how British reality shows are run. And there's a lot of precedent for that as well, which is why I could see someone like Hannah or Leilani winning in the end, because the jury doesn't reward the game players.
True.
But I want to talk more about that when we get through these 2 episodes, because I do have a couple other things I want to talk about with, I mean, we've kind of already talked about who was eliminated in the second episode of this, but we go back to camp. Chris has won. Chris was going to be the name. So now they're like, shit, what do we do? And the plan ends up flipping back to Nathan, Peg, Hannah, Lawrence, Chris, Matt, all seemingly on the same page to vote out Nathan. So immediately, as soon as they get back to camp, he's like, I'm going idol hunting. And he goes straight to the lobster trap to see, well, maybe there's another clue. Who knows? And he didn't need another clue. He didn't need another clue at all, because he goes up to the lobster trap and he notices that the trap is just open. And he's like, oh, I'm just going to open this and pull it out. And now he has an idol.
He's like, production must have really not had hope in us finding the key. So they just opened it.
They lost all hope today. And they said, no, but no. So Nathan has an idol. Yay, great, lovely. And then, what's the first thing he goes to do as soon as he gets this idol? He's going to tell Hannah and Lawrence. And then...
And Peg was there.
Peg was there. And then, while this is happening, tells Lawrence to his face that he's potentially voting for him or Maddie, and that they should just vote for him, and he plays his idol.
I said, sir.
What?
Sir, if you want to have the sole vote, sir, you don't tell anybody you have the idol. You just go on about your day. You continue to look sad and like, it's me. I know it's me. Don't worry about it. Just vote. Tell Leilani, don't worry about it. Just vote me. I don't want you to stick your neck out for me. It's me. It's going on me. Don't worry about it.
Well,
and you just go around and be like, I know it's me and it's fine. I've sealed my fate. I accept it. It is what it is. And you just sit at camp. You just shut up and you sit at camp. But no, not this man. Not this man, not on this day. He was like, hey, here's my item. I got it. Everybody, I got one. Got one. I got it. I'm using it today and I'm got it. But you can vote for me if you want to, but I got this idol and I'm playing it today. So you can use it. I'm like, sir, they're not voting for you now because you have an idol that you're flashing around and you're showing everybody that you have it. Like, what? So I'm like, I know you don't think you're gonna get this solo vote, or he could have played it like, y'all, I got an idol, so y'all figure it out what y'all gonna do. But he just said nothing. I was so confused. But this was the fact that he don't know what he doing. He ain't never had no idol before. He ain't never had nothing. He ain't had no immunity idol, no immunity necklace, no immunity, nothing, no advantage, nothing. He was just so excited. Like, oh, life in the game. Yay. I was like, nobody's impressed by this part of you. It was so, I was like, dang, Nathan, just when I gave you hope, you gave me a little hope that you know what you're doing, you turn around and snatch it away. And I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, same.
Snatched it away. I was like, that was the stupidest. That was the dumbest. And now Hannah goes and tells Christopher that Nathan has an idol. And Christopher's like, what? What do you mean he has an idol? How do you know? He showed me. He showed you. Why would he do that? I don't know, but he did. Let's see how I know. Where did it come from? Because the only idol I know was in the lobster cage, and I have the key. Where? So he going, and so he tells Maddie, Nathan has an idol, and Maddie's like, does he have an idol? Where did it come from? And like, I don't know. We need to go check this cage. So they go and check the cage. And they looking around, and Chris is like, did you lock the cage? He's like, yeah, I locked it. You didn't latch it? And Maddie's like, what? Oh my God. Oh God. Oh God, no. And they were like, it's gone. He found the idol that we left just sitting here open, and he was like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Oh my God, I'm so dumb. I'm like, yeah, you are. That was kind of stupid. And now they're mad. Christopher is pissed, as he should be.
He'd be more mad if he didn't have that necklace, as Maddie.
Absolutely. Could you imagine?
The beautiful piece of jewelry, as he said at the immunity challenge.
Could you imagine? It's not beautiful. Could you imagine him not having that idol, that necklace? Like, let's just say Pegleg had the necklace, or
Nathan.
Nathan. But see,
or Hannah.
I was about to say Hannah, because if Nathan had it, he wouldn't have been looking.
Right.
He would have went to look. So Nathan had. Let's say Hannah has the necklace.
Yay, Hannah gets away. But no.
And Christopher does not. And then they go back to that thing, and Nathan has that. Do you know Christopher would
to get voted out over the fact that your ally didn't latch a cage would be the single dumbest reason, or one of the dumbest reasons, to be voted out of Survivor ever.
That'd be so insane.
And I think Matt kind of got a break here, because
he did.
if I was Christopher, I would have been like, oh, he took out that idol and he gave it to Nathan.
Yep.
And the fact that Christopher never seemed to think about that, and it didn't really destroy their alliance, Matt is lucky. He needs to be counting his blessings.
I mean, he was like, is it a sabotage? I would have been like, absolutely it was a sabotage. He left that open and went and told Nathan.
From his perspective, for sure.
Yep.
I would have thought that too. And
I would have zero doubt.
I would have zero doubt in my mind. Like, you couldn't convince me otherwise that he didn't do this on purpose, because Nathan was his original ally. He just took out Tanuki, and he's trying to make it up to Nathan because he wanted to sit at the end with Nathan. And whatever conversation him and Nathan had worked, and now he feels bad, so he is going to give Nathan his idol. That is the thought that would have ran in my head, and you couldn't convince me otherwise. Jesus himself would have had to come down and tell me that didn't happen before anybody would be like, no, I didn't. I'm like, you're lying, and I don't believe you. You set me up, and here we go. I will be writing your name down tonight. I would have been so mad if I was Christopher. Maddie would have went home. Absolutely. Yeah. I would have went and told Pegleg and Lawrence and Hannah, we vote now, Maddie, because he's still trying to work with Nathan. He gave him that idol. I would have rolled down a whole story and told him. That's me. He's so lucky that Christopher didn't even think about that.
But don't worry, y'all, because the idiocy does not end here.
No, it does not.
Because then...
Oh, are you going to bring up what I'm thinking about? I hope so.
Because then... with the knowledge that, at this point, everyone knows Nathan has an idol. So everyone but Nathan is now at camp talking about what to do with the vote. And they all I don't remember who it was that brought up the idea.
Matt.
It was, okay, Matt brings up the idea. Thank you. Yes, I am bringing up what you thought. Matt brings up the idea of splitting the vote 4-2, where 4 people vote for Nathan and 2 people vote for someone else. So which is a great plan in theory.
It is. And I want to say, I was sitting on the plane watching this, and I was like, okay, wait, So who is he talking about? Who all still in? Oh, that one's there. That one's also. That one's there.
All 6 of them are there.
Everybody's there. Who are you talking about, Matt?
So we're going to suggest that we split the vote with everybody else left in the game, standing around the fire, trying to figure out who to split the vote on when everyone but Nathan is in this group discussing the vote.
So he wanted somebody to be like, oh yeah, please put the 2 votes on me. In what universe? In what world does that make any sense to me? I was like, this group of people, watching them play Survivor is like watching a bunch of 6th graders play Survivor.
I wouldn't even go that generously. I would say 3rd graders.
It was so like, I guess we should split the vote. Everybody, we're all standing here. Who's going to take it?
Everybody other than the person with the idol, we should all split the vote.
So you're basically telling me I'm going out because if Nathan plays his idol and 4 of us vote for Nathan, the 2 who vote for me?
Insert person.
Idiot.
Yeah. This is where he caught another good break, because if I was one of those people, I'd be like, that's a good idea.
Okay, I'll put my vote on you then.
We'll put 2 on you.
But you have to remember, everyone, the only few people that had seen Survivor before going on Survivor are out of the game already. So, oh my God. And then a bright, shining light appears before Tribal. And there is actually a legitimate plan. And it comes from Maddie. And I'm like, what is happening? Because Maddie goes from suggesting a 4-2 split in front of everybody else left in the game to running to Chris and Peg saying, we should put our votes on Lawrence as a safety precaution. And I'm like, oh, you're playing the game again? Like, I want to recognize that I think Maddie is attempting to play the game. And I'm going to give him props for that because some people aren't. Mm-hmm. However, in the words of Lana, he has these beautiful, bright moments of, like, pure strategy that are just lovely to watch. And then all of the idiocy that we just watched him do in this entire episode. And he is such a frustrating character to watch, but boy, am I entertained.
I'm just going to say it. They were right. They were right. They were 100% right. And I am going to give my flowers to the beautiful, the talented, the melanated queen, Tanuki. She was the brains behind the operation because once she was gone, they turned into the Keystone Cops. Like, nobody knew what they were doing. Everybody was just making bonehead moves. We just doing stupid stuff. We getting idols. We announcing it to the world. I'm like, are you crazy? We don't lock gates after we finish. Then we make stupid plans. Like, let's do a 4-2 split in front of everybody. Everybody's going to do this. Like, okay, yeah, then Matt. Tanuki was the brains behind the operations. You know what? I'm going to put that tweet out. Tanuki was the brains, and everybody else, y'all finally did something right by letting the queen go, because without her, you guys turned into a bunch of bumbling idiots.
If she had still been there, she would have won.
She would have at least told Nathan to shut up. Don't tell everybody.
Because I think if Tanuki's there, I think Nathan tells Tanuki first.
Yes. And she says, keep it to ourselves. We won't do nothing. We'll act like nothing.
Let the vote go on Nathan. Play the idol.
And we take out Matt. Or we take out whoever we want to take out.
We take out
Christopher. Oh, no, he had the
idol.
We take out Peg. We take out Peg.
And don't worry, y'all, because the shenanigans didn't end here. Because then we go to Tribal. And we're talking at Tribal. And Nathan and Christopher are going back and forth. and Nathan is talking about his endgame plans publicly in front of everyone, saying that his final 3 was Tanuki and Matt and not Leilani, saying this in front of everyone in the game that is left who could potentially vote for the winner of this game. And while I get it, I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I didn't think that was that bad because it's clearly over. It's clearly over. Like Tanuki's not there. He's clearly not there. Yeah.
Maddie's not with him.
No, it was just like, it was the shenanigans. That's why I shifted from idiocy to shenanigans, because I'm just like, I would never do that. But again, I have to remember these people have never watched Survivor.
I think it's a good way to just show, hey, I am a number on the field now. I'm for the taking.
Yep.
So it's not the most egregious thing, but I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I would have never done that, and I found it interesting. What I found more interesting, Lana, is what you brought up earlier, where Christopher is like, well, how dare you have endgame plans?
Right.
How dare you have an idea of who you want in the final 3 at final 7?
I'm like you weren't just talking to Maddie saying, well, I want you and me in the final 2. Well,
but God forbid you have a final 3. God forbid you have a final 3. But
it was so weird to me. I was like, we just go sit here and act like none of us thought about a final 3. Like none of them sat on that island when it got down to 6. I was like, who do I want to sit next to at the end? Who do I think? No, y'all ain't think about that, but because Nathan brought it up, how dare you? And even like if I was Leilani, I wouldn't be that mad, because honestly, if she was like, I didn't think of you in my final plans either. I would.
Lana, you have to remember, she doesn't have
it. That's why
she doesn't have final plans.
That's why she wasn't that mad when it happened.
And that's why she's going to be a 0 vote finalist.
That's who I would take to the end with me, because I'm like, she's not.
Oh, absolutely! I'm taking Anna and I'm taking Leilani, and it's not just because they're both women. It's because neither of them have played a great game. But
unfortunately,
in the midst of the foolishness, buffoonery, shenanigans that happened in this episode, we go to the vote. And with 5 votes, Lawrence becomes collateral damage of this episode, despite not being featured at all in this episode, and goes home. Sure. And I'm going to be honest.
I'm okay.
I'm a little upset about it, though.
Not me.
I found him reasonably entertaining most of the time. I don't think he was ever going to do anything major game-wise, but I found him reasonably entertaining. And I like that we had someone really posh on this season to add that little bit of posh flavor that I love on a British reality show. So, did I think he was going to win? No. Do I think he stood a chance if he was in the final 3? Honestly, yeah. But he becomes collateral damage.
Here is where I feel like if it wasn't Maddie, it should have been Lawrence for Nathan's sake and Nathan's game, and even heck, Matt's game, because it's like Lawrence is, like you said, he's very much in the middle. It could go either way. I do think there was a chance Lawrence could possibly, if he was in the finals, could have a chance to win it. But that's because he will know Lawrence is also a good talker. Lawrence is charming. Lawrence makes the jury laugh. Lawrence makes the people laugh. And I think that goes a long way when it comes to when it comes to a jury. And so I think Lawrence would have had a good chance of winning. Now, would he have survived? I don't know, because this next episode we don't see him.
I don't know.
And I was like, oh, well, I mean, Lawrence, I think he was one day away of passing out.
Yeah. We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get there.
I forgot about that.
But we also have to. So the vote was 5-1 with not a single vote on Nathan, and he plays the idol anyway.
As he should. Look, I would have played it anyway. I'm not risking not playing it, and then all the votes are on me. I don't know these people. These people have lied to me constantly. I would rather play it unsuccessfully than not play it and go home with it in my pocket.
Especially since he's given them the opportunity to game it and split the votes.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's no choice but to play it.
I agreed with you both until he explained why he played the idol in episode 14. And then I got a little frustrated again with him and the way he's played the game. But we go to episode 14 and we start the episode with a moving tribute by Leilani to Lawrence's sexy underwear.
We don't have to see Lawrence's naked butt anymore.
No.
Unfortunately. Blur it.
It's still naked.
So we hear a bunch of people talking about their place in the game, and we hear Nathan saying at several points, you can't really plan at this stage of the game. You can't, Nathan? You can't plan at this stage of the game?
He can't because he really has nothing else. He has nothing. Honestly, in his eyes, he can't plan at this stage of the game because he has nothing. That was his final thing, was that idol. He knew if it wasn't lit last week, it's this week. You know what I'm saying? He can't plan it. Nobody trusts him. Nobody wants him there. Everybody wants him gone. The only thing he can do is win. And he knows that. If he doesn't win, he's going home. So yes, that's a very true statement. You can't plan anything. He can't plan anything at this stage of the game because there's no plans for him except winning.
And then the part that frustrated me, though, I'll be honest, is he's talking about why he played the idol in the last episode, and he said he played the idol because he didn't want to stay in the game if his tribe mates didn't want him to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I have to remember, these people have never watched Survivor. I have to keep, because I'm just like, what?
I mean, he's an athlete. That's what he does. He plays as, I want to be tough. I want to win. And if you don't, I'm gonna be here. And if you don't want me here, you got to get me out of here. Like, that's his mentality. And so his mentality.
Why on Survivor?
Because this is what he wanted to do. But if we go say that about him, we say that about half these other people. Why are you here?
Agree with you. I agree with you completely. But also, why are you here?
You have to think about
people's mentality. To win.
He is. That's the whole thing. He knows he has to win. I can't be here unless I win. He knew in this moment the tribe does not want him here. He has to win it. He has no other options but to win it. And that's why he played the idol, because he these people don't want me here. Of course I got to play the idol. Now, if he would have just kept it, oh my God. If he would have been, I would have, I don't know. I'm thinking back. I would have tried it. I would have tried not to play it. After I went through that whole thing, the spiel about I got the idol, gave them time to plan it, I would have tried it. If I went home with the idol in my pocket. But if I didn't, I still got a whole nother week, baby. I would have tried it. And saw what happened.
But these people have never seen Survivor, Lana.
Yeah, they wouldn't have tried it because they ain't got no heart. No. I would have tried it. I would have been like, after I went on this whole spree, I would have been sitting there thinking about what if they all decide not to vote for me? Now that they know I got it, what if they switch it up and they decide not to vote for me? I mean, either way, I'm gone. Either I'm gone or I'm staying. 50-50. I probably would have tried it. It would have worked for him if he would have just tried it, but I understand why he did it. But I also understand what his mentality is. He is an athlete, and athletes play to win. And if you don't want me here, I don't want to, a lot of people on these teams, these professional athletes on these teams, I don't want to be on the team where they don't want me here. I'd rather get traded. I'd rather go. So I don't know. His mentality is a little weird. I mean, not weird, but it's not Survivor mentality, because I don't care if the tribe do want me here or don't want me here. If I keep winning, if I can stay, I'm staying.
Yeah. And we do see, before we get to the reward, we do see Chris and Matt acknowledging that there are now 3 pairs left in the game, being them, Hannah and Peg, and Nathan and Leilani. I'm like, good, strategic things. That plays a lovely role into literally what happens the rest of this episode.
And it's pretty unique. We don't get that a lot. It's usually like 2 sides, if that. I mean, often
or it's
we get
2
like
pairs
one
and
giant
some
side.
like floaters.
Right. So I thought it was interesting. It's almost like voting blocks with these. So
this season is really voting blocks.
Yeah. So I was intrigued watching this
or
episode.
more so friendship blocks. Since God forbid we use the word alliance, we'll talk about it. God forbid we use the word alliance on this show. But we go to reward, and I love that they are doing a lot of these classic Survivor challenges, a lot of which we haven't seen in a really long time. And in this one, they're doing the mud challenge, which I really enjoy. I'm like, I like this challenge. There wasn't a whole lot to it. You get in the mud and you go over obstacle, and then you get the mud off your body. Simple. There was a pretty clear winner by the end of it.
Well, it came down to 2 people. It was Peg and Chris. I like this challenge. I'm glad they brought it back. Haven't seen it in a long time.
I was gonna say it's been a minute, but Chris wins. He gets to go to the Survivor Spa. He brings 2 people with him, and he picks a pair.
No surprise.
Smart choice.
I mean, it was the only choice he was going to make. He wasn't picking Nathan and Leilani.
No.
Other people would have picked their pair.
Yeah. And this move seems to have no effect on Maddie. And I'm just like,
I mean, it makes sense because you don't want people to know that you're a pair. Like you're that tight. I wouldn't have picked the person I was the closest with either. Like, I'm sorry, you know why? Because I need to work on them. I got you. I need to work on them.
And he did like say, I hope it's because he trusts me, which I mean, it really is that. So I'm glad that he's a mature enough player in this game to realize nothing to worry about, really.
Yeah, definitely. So Chris, Peg, and Hannah go to the reward. They're doing all their stuff. The music selections in this season of Survivor, they paid for a lot of rights to a lot of stuff.
Watermelon sugar. I was like, hey.
Mixed with, we got watermelon sugar and we got good as hell. And I was like, yeah.
I said, who got a budget? Who got a budget?
They paid for a bunch of Harry Styles songs. That's the second Harry Styles song this season.
Look, in their impact, U.S. Survivor is now paying for songs to be on.
Because they paid for fucking Taylor Swift.
Oh, well, I mean, in the actual episode, they had like a song from Top Gun. For voices.
Yeah. And then in like all their commercials, I'm like, oh, you're paying for some big music. Okay, CBS.
Right.
But then I remember this is produced by the BBC, who has all of these rights anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But they're doing their thing, and while they're doing their thing at the spa, Hannah and Peg are like, "Well, we know Chris brought us here to butter us up, but we're not falling for that."
Or are you?
or are you? I did appreciate, though, that there was an acknowledgement by these 2 that Christopher is a threat. We're getting acknowledged.
Say that again. He's what?
He's a threat.
Oh, okay. Good. Just wondered if
He's
you
a
heard
threat to win the game.
You all remember that statement. And just keep that. Pin that.
We're gonna put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that, and we'll get back to it.
I won't come back. So we go back after the spa. Maddie checks in with Chris and is like, that was purely strategic, right? And he goes, yes. Absolutely. Like, I trust you. Hello, obviously. And that's again where over these 2 episodes we're seeing bright spots of Maddie being like playing a strategic game and then having the lobster trap of it all. But I do love that he was like, we're good, right? Like, we're checking with your allies. That's an important part of Survivor. And then Hannah decides she's going to have a conversation with Nathan. And straight up tell Nathan, well, your attitude has changed since you got that idol. And he's like,
he owned it.
Yep. Yes.
It has. God forbid he admit to having a different attitude and playing the game. God forbid. Because now Hannah's disappointed in Nathan.
I'm disappointed in you, Hannah. I'm disappointed in you. And here's why. You are the most frustrating person I've ever seen on Survivor in my entire life. I've rooted for you. I've been rooting. We've all been rooting for you. And you have such bad reads on almost everything up until this point. Like the baddest reads on everything up until this point. And then you want to, you have the audacity, the unmitigated gall to project your you need to be humble attitude on someone else. How dare you tone police this man and tell him how he should act or how he should be in a game of Survivor when you really were never truly on his side? Like, you truly were never really there. You shown that when you voted for Tanuki. You were truly never really on his side. Y'all weren't on the same tribe. So I don't expect you to truly be on his side because you had other connections, which is fine, which you should have and which you should play with. But then to turn around and tell this man he should be humble and he should show more humility after he got an idol. How dare you? I'm disappointed in you because you don't want nobody to tone police you, but you turn around and tone police him because he didn't do how you would do it. He didn't act the way you would act. Y'all not the same people. I don't expect people to act how I would act because you're not me and I'm not you. I was so taken aback and turned off by that. I was like, I'm disappointed in you, Hannah. That was kind of gross that you decide as a Black woman to tell this Black man how he should act in a game. That you're not truly his ally. Y'all not working together at all. But you felt the need to say how disappointed you were in him and how he acted? Absolutely not. But you weren't disappointed in how Lee was acting. You weren't disappointed in how anybody else was acting. You weren't disappointed in how Chris was acting. But you're going to go and tell Nathan how disappointed you are at his act. Girl, bye. Absolutely not. That was the grossest thing I could have seen. I was like, no, I'm turned off. I don't root against Black people, and I'm not going to root against you, but I am not rooting for you.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
What she said. So, do we want to move to the immunity?
Let's do it.
It is a classic. It's obstacle puzzle. I loved it. Or obstacle swim. Obstacle puzzle. More like it. But this challenge, the editing on this challenge was strange because the whole time it's Nathan and Chris. Oh, it's back and forth. Nathan and Chris. And then out of nowhere,
it's Peg Leg.
Peg Leg wins. I was like, oh, okay. Sure.
Peg Leg ate down on that puzzle. He just ate down.
And I didn't realize until they said something that he's the first person to win multiple immunities.
And that's crazy.
That's insane.
We're at final 6.
Crazy.
Yeah, I will say I was pretty disappointed that he won because out of the top 6, I'm like everybody except Peg Leg is kind of meh for me. Like I don't
I
think
will agree.
he's never like inspired any sort of excitement for me. Other people, like even if I'm frustrated with them at sometimes, I've enjoyed them to some degree. So I was really I knew he probably wouldn't go anyways, but that just made it 100% that I was going to lose somebody. I was like, dang it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the rest of the episode is really, is it Nathan or is it Chris? And Hannah, in a rare moment of strategic thinking on this show, says, well, Chris has made a lot of enemies. He's not popular with the jury.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I go to the end game with Chris. I'm like, Hannah's playing the game again. What? A little bit, a glimmer.
You're playing the game, but you're going to take the person who's winning everything to the end. To the end. Okay. Sure.
The strategic brain is there, but she's miscalculating, like we talked about earlier, that I do think Chris has a couple of secured votes already if he makes final title.
And I think it would be a mistake to leave the opportunity open for that old tribe to get back together. So I felt like they needed to be broken up, even if that meant getting rid of Matthew instead of Chris. They needed to get one of those 3 out and keep the Lana around, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like you said it yourself. Because we put a pin in it, I'm snatching it out. Chris is a threat. Chris is a threat. We said it. You said it. Everybody said it. Chris is a threat. She said it. Chris is a threat. Chris has won every reward challenge. Chris has won a community idol. And Chris can win more things if you leave Chris in the game. And we decide, let's see, who do we go out? The person who's won everything or the person who's won nothing? Decisions. I vote out the person who won stuff, took me on a reward, took me there. Heck, not because I didn't win nothing. Took me to the reward and won the immunity, won every reward challenge to the person who won nothing. I could have beaten this person in the last round. They won nothing. Especially if it has anything to do with balance or holding on. He ain't winning. Because I done beat him before in other things. But I'm going to take the person who wins everything and say, maybe I should go to the end with them. Tell me you ain't watched Survivor without telling me you ain't watched Survivor. Thank you. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to tribal. And it's like, is it Nathan? Is it Chris? Is it Nathan? Is it Chris? And Lawrence is just not there.
Right.
The medical team said he needs to rest. I was like, oh my God. Poor thing. He was probably one day away from passing out.
He's so posh that he can't even go to tribal council because he had to rest. But seriously, though, I hope he is okay for the rest of the days and that he recovered and that he's there. I hope. Could you imagine if they just get a from Ponderosa vote from Lawrence to win the game?
I don't think that's ever happened before.
I don't think that's ever happened. It feels very like Arbor Day on Big Brother casting a vote to evict from the hospital.
From the hospital. When they should have just been out. But okay. Anyway, we move.
It's like, is it Nathan? Is it Chris? Is it Nathan? Is it Chris? It's Nathan.
I thought it was going to be Chris.
I thought it was going to be Chris.
I thought it should have been Chris.
I think it should have been Chris.
Because we go take the person who.
Well, obviously, everything. I didn't want it to be either of them. But
right.
I thought it should have been Chris because you go take the person who's won everything. against the person who's won nothing. But you want to sit next to that person in the end? Okay. When Nathan has already been told to be the lapdog of Tanuki, so that's it. He's the lapdog. And so we go take the person who is actually the predator against the lapdog? I don't know. And I think I could beat Nathan. I think any of them could have beat Nathan. It's something else. They ain't beating Chris. That's crazy. My mind was blown with that. I was like,
because at this point, I would not be surprised. There are two people that I think could win out and make it to the end, and it's Chris and Pegleg.
Yep.
But that's the episode. We do know that we're getting a final 3.
Yeah.
Because we weren't sure, what the format was going to be for the final tribal. We do have basically confirmation that it is a 3-person final tribal. So we will get an elimination in episode 17, and episode 18 is the final. And yeah.
I will say this. I am very happy that they finally told the jury to shut up.
Yeah.
Because I'm glad they don't get to speak. Because somebody was getting on my nerves. And I was like...
And someone should have been disqualified from the jury
Absolutely.
the first day he sat on the jury.
Absolutely. I was like... I was taken aback. But he's so wrong.
David.
Like, pretty people can break rules, and he did, and he talked, and not just said one word. Like, he talked. He had a whole conversation. I was like, "Are we just gonna allow these people?" I was shocked. I was like, "Is this what we do in the UK? Are we allowed? The jury's allowed to talk?" Because I know in the US, you would have been out there. Talk on a jury if you want to. You gone. You done. You can't communicate with the people. It's like a glass wall. You sitting there looking through a glass wall. You can't talk to them. But I'm glad they told them to be quiet.
David, I adore you with every fiber of my being, and you know that. That might be the single most disappointing take I've ever heard you
that have. He's pretty?
Yeah.
What? He's like very physically attractive.
Okay, great. He's also a horrible human.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
His character on the show.
Yeah. I disagree
with him. The misogyny
but...
oozing from every pore of his body?
No, I mean, I don't think that makes him a horrible person. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and defend myself about thinking he's not a bad person. I've already said it at the beginning of the episode. I don't think he's a bad person. It takes a lot for me to think somebody's a bad person.
Okay. And on that note, we're going to close out of this. So thank you for joining us for our penultimate episode of Survivor UK coverage. I do want to ask, before we wrap up, one name. Winner pick.
Chris.
Peg is winning.
I think it could be Hannah. So I'm going to say Hannah. But yeah, that's that. Thank you for joining us for Survivor UK. We'll be back next week to talk about the finale. The last 2 episodes. It's over. We're done with it. So make sure to subscribe if you have not already, because we are here almost every day of the week, almost everything reality TV. Make sure to go subscribe to both of our other channels for almost all things drag and almost all things Eurovision Song Contest. Make sure to follow us on our socials, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Cut Pod for all of your most up-to-date news and our funny moments, because we are some funny bitches. And if you decide to scroll further down in the description of this video, you can find all of our social links, as well as the link to our merch site, which has all of our merch, including but not limited to cup, mug. And with that being said, cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Goodbye.